Well, first of all, the whole thing with youth, I think, I've always said there's a relationship in college basketball between experience and winning, but not necessarily age. If that was the deal, everybody would just go out and sign a bunch of 24, 25-year-old guys that hadn't been to college, and you're the oldest team and you win. It doesn't work that way. But I do think there's a relationship between experience and winning. So these young guys that we're calling freshmen now, there'll come a time sooner than later where they're not freshmen. I think if a guy plays a lot of minutes, by the time you get to Christmas, you're basically already a sophomore. So I'm a big believer in experience over age or your classification on a roster. So these guys are all getting experience. All seven of them contributed in the Bahamas and played real minutes. They got all season under their belt now. They got fall practices, and now today we start official practice with these guys. So, and we do have returners too. I think just to say we're a young team is not accurate. We've got Holyfield and Chris, two of the most experienced seniors in college basketball. Morrow's played a lot of ball, including all the way up until a national championship game. Kyler Edwards played a great role last year. He looks to take the next step. And then Avery Benson, somebody that I have a lot of respect for. Avery's a big part of what we do around here. So, yes, we're a young team, but no excuse. We're a no excuse culture. We intend to be a part of the fight this year, regardless of what classification guys we have on our roster.
Coach, speaking of the Bahamas, what was your biggest takeaway as a coach, and what did you learn about your team coming from the Bahamas?
Yeah, I think first of all, from the positives, I think depth could again be a great attribute. We had 13 guys that are eligible to practice today, and all 13 of them are on my mind right now as guys that are going to contribute this year. So I think the first thing is the depth. I think defensively we have the length and athleticism, and we play hard. These guys want to defend. That started in the recruiting process. Don't come to Texas Tech if you don't want to guard the guy in front of you. So I think we have a chance to be a good defensive team. I like our depth. And then obviously, great thing about practice and foreign tour is no different. Exposes weaknesses, things you got to work on. So right now, I think Morrow said it best today. We're a work in progress. Chemistry continue to be something that we work on. I look for us to be a better team December 1 than we are November 1, all the way hopefully to that first Monday in April.
Speaking of recruiting, with all the success you've had the last couple of years with those deep runs, obviously the Big 12 championship, and then putting guys in the league, have you noticed a difference on the recruiting trail off of that success?
Yeah, I think you always strive to improve, just like in coaching and playing, you try to improve. In the recruiting game, you're trying to do that as well. So, to me, it always goes back to that first team we had here with Devin and Livingston and those guys buying in and establishing a culture and a foundation that allowed us to recruit well the next year. That was, Z and Culver coming in. And then, obviously, the success of that team allows Matt and Tariq to take a look at Texas Tech. And then certainly those guys have given us a chance to have these talented guys we have on the team now. So I think your best recruiters are always your current team, your past team. So I think the success that the past players have had in the last couple of years absolutely has impacted recruiting in a good way.
So at the end of last year, you had a lot of players move on. So who do you see this year as kind of stepping up as a leader, both as vocally or as setting an example for the young team?
Yeah, to me, the way my mind works, it always starts with the returners. And so for us, it's Morrow coming back. Is one of the best players in the Big 12 as a sophomore and a returning starter. It's Kyler Edwards coming back, playing his best basketball in March and April when it mattered most. Worked really hard. Never seen a guy have a better offseason than Kyler Edwards did, both mentally and physically. Have a lot of confidence in Kyler this year. And then Avery, a guy that's staying the course and helped us so much last year. Down the stretch when his number was called, helped us get back on track and eventually win the Big 12 while he was playing valuable minutes. So those three guys is where my mind starts. Your returners always have to get better, just like your coaches always have to get better. And then recruiting, for us, it starts with those two grad transfers, Chris and Holyfield, and then to the freshmen. And then Joel's a transfer. We're waiting to hear the NCAA's decision on his waiver. If he plays, he's going to be in the mix. And if he doesn't play, we're going to have the best offseason year in the history of college basketball to get him ready to be a great player the first day he does play.
Coach, going back to the Bahamas trip, a couple of guys didn't play that much after what appeared to be injuries. Everybody healthy, good to go, 100%?
Yeah, I don't know if anybody's 100% healthy in basketball because it just goes year-round. We play in the summer, Bahamas. So, but we're we're as healthy as we can be. You know, again, no excuse culture. We're ready. Max a little bit banged up right now, and so he's taking a couple days off. But other than that, we got 12 guys practicing today. Everybody's got, you know, issues here and there like every college basketball player, but for the most part, we're healthy. And again, looking forward to getting things started today.
TJ mentioned switching to guard. How have you seen that transition for him through the Bahamas and I guess off-season workouts?
Yeah, I think what we're looking for with Holyfield is just versatility, to not be a position player, but to be a basketball player. You know, I remember when I recruited TJ vividly, we talking about positions and some of the teams we were recruiting against were awful interested in what we do here a little bit more than I think they should have just been interested in what they did there. But I think with Holyfield, I just said, let's talk about numbers. Like, I mean, what is LeBron? Is LeBron a 3? Is he a 4? Is he a 2? I mean, I think LeBron's the best point guard in the league when he wants to be. He's the best 5-man in the league when he chooses. I mean, he's a player. So that's the way I've always seen basketball, positionless. So I think with Holyfield, we're just trying to get him to think outside of like one position. We want Holyfield to make plays around the rim. He's going to post up for us, but he's also going to spread the floor and do things similar to how Tariq played for us last year. You know, I don't think Holyfield's a center. I don't think he's a forward. I think he's a basketball player. He's a talented guy. And, you know, I have a lot of confidence in him. I predict he'll have the best year he's ever had in college basketball, and I predict he'll be in the NBA conversation next spring.
Well, that follows up to my next question. You've had some pretty good proclamations in these pregame press conferences. Is that the one there, or do you have another one for us? A couple of years ago, it was Zaire. Is there one that you would like to share with us now?
And you're the only guy that listens, man. Because everybody always tells me, Zaire, did you really think he's an NBA player? Yeah. So, you know, I think this year's team's going to get better as the year goes on. I think we'll be playing our best basketball late in the year. I think we're going to get great leadership from our 2 seniors and our 3 returners. I think our freshmen are all have greatness in them. And the first thing, you know, to be a leader one day is you got to be a follower. You got to learn how to follow to lead. And I think all these guys have demonstrated that. They've shown a lot of respect to the guys older than them, but at the same time, they're keeping their confidence and their swagger that they're here to compete this year too. I think it'll be another close-knit Texas Tech team where our chemistry becomes an asset. We're going to play for the guy next to us and not the guy, you know, on the back of our jersey. I think we're going to be a part of the fight. You know, it's, of course, you know, the first day of practice, if any coach in America right now is talking about they're not going to be any good, they got real problems. So, you know, I know this. There's a way to win every game on our schedule, and we're going to do the best we can to coach and prepare and to play each night, you know, to try to win that one game at a time.
You've talked a little bit about Moro's leadership, and you kind of mentioned him being a follower there. What type of leader do you expect him to be? Because he mentioned he's not the most vocal guy in the world. Have you talked to him about being more vocal, or is he just a do it by example guy?
Yeah, well, first of all, Moro was a great leader last year. He was a starting point guard on a team that won the Big 12 and played for national championship. So he's a great leader last year. Everybody leads in different ways. You know, everybody isn't Tim Tebow or Magic Johnson, although I would love to coach a guy like that one day. Other guys coach, you know, other guys lead through example or lead, you know, like a Lawrence Adiase. He wasn't the most vocal guy in front of you people, but I'm telling you, in that locker room, he had that locker room in the palm of his hand. So people lead in different ways. With Moro, it starts with his own discipline. He's basically thinks and acts and lives his life like a professional. He knows his priorities. He doesn't have distractions. He's a real pro. He's a pro's pro. And so the way he leads to start is just by example. Tell people all the time, just look at Moro, like, you know, do that. And he's starting to come out of his shell in terms of leadership. I've seen this on his national team and back home, so it doesn't surprise me. I think he has it in him. He's already done a great job, and I think, today's a big day for Moro. I think today's practice will be a different Moro than maybe I've ever seen.
Obviously, every Chris Beard team has kind of those core values that you keep on the floor, but stylistically, should we expect some differences from maybe what we've seen last year or the year before, or will be kind of similar stylistically on the floor?
Yeah, we're always trying to get better and try new things. I think, obviously we're going to play defense. We're going to share the ball. We're going to try not to give it to the other team. We'll try not to beat ourselves, and we're going to play hard. And that's our culture. That's not going to change. But from year to year, you know, with your talent, I think it's no secret this year with our length and athleticism, I think we could really press the tempo defensively. Probably be a team that presses more in the pass, and offensively, we'll have the ability to get out in the open court. Probably the best of our 4 teams here at Tech in terms of getting easy baskets because of our athleticism. But yeah, great question. I mean, hopefully the culture stays intact. But every year we're going to do what we have to do to give ourselves a chance to be successful, and every team's different.
And last year,
We'll make this the last question.
okay. Last year, obviously, you probably learned a lot about your team early on, playing a team like Duke. To get teams like Louisville and Kentucky on the schedule, non-conference wise, how big is that to kind of learn a great deal about, especially a young team?
Yeah, it's always been our plan. I said when I first got here, I said, we got to get in the fight. If we're ever going to win the fight, we got to get in the fight. Then I said, if we can get in the fight long enough, we'll win it. And we've won a couple fights, and we came up a little bit short in the biggest fight of all. But a big part of that's playing the best people. So, I think Coach Adams and Coach Sutton do a great job with the schedule. We want to push ourselves. We want to play the best teams in the country. Certainly this year, again, with Louisville and DePaul and Kentucky, among many more. This is just who we're going to be. If you're going to win the fight, you got to get in the fight. You're not in a fight if you're not playing the best teams in college basketball. So I like this year's schedule. I like the fact that we're playing in Midland for our fan base there. I'm really proud of that game. 3rd game of the year, we'll play in Midland. We've got home games against NCAA tournament projected teams that'll test us. We're going on the road, as all our teams will. So I think it's the schedule that we wanted it to be. It's going to test us. It's going to push us. It's going to expose a lot of things. Hopefully it'll get us ready for Big 12 play.